Hello, hello! Pizza Pax here, and we're back with the last of the Planechase cards from the Doctor Who Commander decks. As with the other Planechase sets that we've reviewed, we will go over all the planes that are included in this. So there's 4 different decks, 4 different packs. Let's get into these. So first off, we have City of the Daleks. It's on the plane of Skaro. Whenever you attack, target opponent loses X life, where X is the number of artifacts you control. Chaos. Whenever chaos ensues, for each opponent, you create a 3/3 black Dalek artifact creature token with menace that attacks that opponent this turn if able. Those tokens gain haste. Sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step. The Moon Base. Plane, the Moon. Let's see. Low gravity. All creatures have 2. This creature gains flying until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery. Chaos. Whenever chaos ensues, for each opponent, choose up to 1 target creature in that player's graveyard. Put those cards onto the battlefield face down under your control. They're 2/2 Cyberman artifact creature token or artifact creatures. Yep. Dalek Intensive Care. Plane the Dalek Asylum. Whenever you planeswalk to Dalek Intensive Care and at the beginning of your upkeep, exile a non-Dalek creature you control. If you do, create a 3/3 black Dalek artifact creature token with menace. It gains haste until end of turn. Chaos. Whenever chaos ensues, target Dalek you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. Nice. Bowie Base 1. Plane, Mars. At the beginning of your end step, goad target creature controlled by the player to your left. Until your next turn, that creature attacks each combat if able, and attacks a player other than you if able. Chaos. Whenever chaos ensues, target creature gains Island Walk until end of turn. Can't be blocked as long as defending player controls an island. The Doctor's Tomb. Plane, Trenzalore. If a creature would die, instead exile it, and that creature's controller loses 2 life. Chaos. Whenever chaos ensues, redistribute any number of players' life totals. Each of those players gets 1 life total back. Keep in mind, if your life total goes up from something that is setting life total, it counts as life gain. If it goes down, it counts as life loss. So things that trigger on life gain and life loss would also trigger. Aplan Mortarium. Plane Alfava Metroxus. Byzantium Radiation. At the beginning of your upkeep, put an exposure counter on Alpan Mortarium. Then you lose life equal to the number of exposure counters on it. Chaos. Whenever chaos ensues, create 2/2 black alien angel artifact creature tokens with first strike, vigilance, and whenever an opponent casts a creature spell, this permanent isn't a creature until end of turn. Unleash the Flux. This is a phenomenon. Whenever you encounter Unleash the Flux, each player sacrifices a non-land permanent, then you flip a coin. If you lose the flip, repeat this process. Then planes walk away from this phenomenon. So, if you just keep losing, you just keep sacrificing stuff. Everyone keeps sacrificing stuff. The Matrix of Time. Plane Gallifrey. When you planeswalk to the Matrix of Time, each player exiles the top card of their library. During your turn, you may play lands and cast spells from among the cards exiled with the Matrix of Time. Whenever you play a land or cast a spell from among the cards exiled with the Matrix of Time, that card's owner loses 3 life and exiles the top card of their library. Chaos. Whenever chaos ensues, create 2 treasure tokens. That can go very poorly very quickly. Hotel of Fears, plain spacecraft. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of your library. You lose life equal to its mana value. You may play that card this turn. Chaos, praise him. Whenever chaos ensues, choose a color. Put X +1/+1 counters on target creature you control, where X is your devotion to that color. Then sacrifice another creature. Your devotion to a color is the number of mana symbols of that color in the mana costs of permanents you control. Mondasian Colony Ship, plain spacecraft. Whenever a creature attacks, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each other creature its controller controls that shares a creature type with it. Chaos. Whenever chaos ensues, turn target creature face down. It becomes a 2/2 Cyberman artifact creature. Very cool. On our second pack. The Pyramid of Mars, plain Mars. When you planeswalk to the Pyramid of Mars and at the beginning of your upkeep, surveil 2. Look at the top 2 cards of your library, then put any number of them into your graveyard and the rest on top of your library in any order. Chaos. Whenever chaos ensues, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Nice. Caught in a Parallel Universe. Phenomena. Whenever you encounter Caught in a Parallel Universe, each player chooses a creature controlled by the player to their left. Each player creates a token that's a copy of the creature they chose, except it has menace. Then planeswalk away from this phenomena. Gardens of Tranquil Repose, plain Necros. Suspended animation. Whenever a creature dies, exile it. Its controller scries 1. Chaos. Whenever chaos ensues, create X 3/3 black Dalek artifact creature tokens with menace, where X is 1 plus the number of cards exiled with Gardens of Tranquil Repose. Spectrox Mines, plain Androzani Miner. When you planeswalk to Spectrox Mines, and at the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 3 life and create a treasure token. Chaos. Whenever chaos ensues, create a food token and a 2/2 black human rogue creature token. Coal Hill School, plain Earth. Whenever a player casts a historic spell, that player draws a card. Artifacts, legendaries, and sagas are historic. Chaos. Whenever chaos ensues, return target historic card from your graveyard to your hand. Nice. Unit Headquarters, plain Earth. Whenever you planeswalk to Unit Headquarters, and at the beginning of your upkeep, create a tapped 1/1 white soldier creature token. Chaos. Whenever chaos ensues, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Nice. The Cheetah Planet, plain Outside Mutter's Spiral. When you planeswalk to the Cheetah Planet, and at the beginning of your upkeep, put 2 +1/+1 counters on target non-cat creature you control. It becomes a cat in addition to its other types. Chaos. Whenever chaos ensues, all cats gain Provoke until end of turn. Whenever a cat attacks, its controller may have target creature defending player controls untap and block at a Fable. Provoke is a fun mechanic that I wish they would do more with. It's been quite a while since actual cards were printed with it. Antarctic Research Base, plain Earth. When you planeswalk to Antarctic Research Base, and at the beginning of your upkeep, investigate. Chaos. Whenever chaos ensues, put X +1/+1 counters on target creature you control, where X is the number of artifacts you control. It becomes a plant in addition to its other types. The Cave of Skulls, plain Earth. Each creature card in your graveyard has Scavenge. The Scavenge cost is equal to its mana cost. Exile a creature card from your graveyard and pay its mana cost. Put a number of +1/+1 counters equal to that card's power on target creature. Scavenge only as a sorcery. Now, I know it's kind of hard to build around, Planechase cards, but there are several artifact creatures that are very powerful for the very low cost, but have a drawback. Phyrexian Dreadnought is a great example of this. It just costs 1, but it's a 12/12 trampler. Granted, you have to sack 12 power worth of creatures when it comes in, or find some way of getting around that triggered ability, but that would be pretty strong here. Also, things that care about +1/+1 counters would be pretty good here. Chaos. Whenever chaos ensues, create 2 1/1 white warrior creature tokens. Last one from this pack. Tardis Bay. Plain Gallifrey. First spell you cast during each of your turns with mana value 2 or greater has Cascade. When you cast that spell, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card that costs less. You may cast it without paying its mana cost. Put the exiled cards on the bottom in a random order. Chaos. Whenever chaos ensues, you gain control of target artifact, then planeswalk. Alright, now for the third pack. I will say, out of all the multiplayer formats that see any kind of support, it's just mostly Commander at this point. I really like Planechase. I think it is a very flavorful way of playing Magic, and a very dynamic way of playing Magic that doesn't lend itself to the hyper not specialization, but the oh god, what's the word? I can't think of the word. The hyper competitive tuning of things. Hyper optimization, that's what I was looking for. Doesn't lend itself to hyper optimization like most other formats end up trending towards, because of the levels of randomness. Alright, we have the Lux Foundation Library. Plain, the library. Players have no maximum hand size. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. And then Chaos. Whenever Chaos ensues, put a shadow counter on target creature. Creature with shadow can block or be blocked only by creatures with shadow. Shadow is also one of my favorite mechanics of all time. I find it to be really fun. Lake Silencio. Plain Earth. Still point in time. All spells have split second. As long as a spell with split second is on the stack, players can't cast spells or activate abilities that aren't mana abilities. And then Chaos. Whenever Chaos ensues, Lake Silencio deals 6 damage to target creature an opponent controls. If a creature deals damage, or if a creature dealt damage this way would die this turn, exile it instead. Keep in mind, Morph and Megamorph are special game actions, not activated ability, or not abilities. So you can actually still morph and unmorph, or morph and megamorph with a split second spell on the stack. And mana abilities can still be used. Unless they have a timing restriction on them. Amy's Home. Plain Earth. When you planeswalk to Amy's Home and at the beginning of your upkeep, you may exile a non-land card from your hand with a number of time counters on it equal to its mana value. If it doesn't have Suspend, it gains Suspend. Whenever chaos ensues, time travel. For each suspended card you own and each permanent you control with a time counter on it, you may add or remove a time counter. Nice. Ood Sphere. Plain Horsehead Nebula. Song of the Ood. Non-creature spells have Convoke. A player's creatures can help cast those spells. for each creature that they tap while casting a non-creature spell, pays for 1 mana or 1 mana of that creature's color. So a colorless or 1 mana of that creature's color. Chaos. Red Eye. Whenever chaos ensues, for each opponent, goad up to 1 target creature an opponent controls. Until end of turn, those creatures can't become tapped unless they're being declared as attackers. Ooh, that's cool. All right. Human Time Lord Metacrisis. Phenomena. Whenever you encounter Human Time Lord Metacrisis, each player chooses 1 or 2 creatures they control. Each player creates a token that's a copy of the first creature they chose, except it isn't legendary. Then each player who chose a second creature puts a number of +1/+1 counters on the token they created equal to the power of the second creature they chose. Then planeswalk away from this phenomenon. Nice. Bad Wolf Bay. Plain Earth. At the beginning of combat on your turn, exile up to 1 target creature. Return it to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. Chaos. Whenever chaos ensues, cards can't enter the battlefield from exile this turn. Then planeswalk. So that's a way of just getting rid of stuff permanently. Also, really good with Containment Priest. 2 Streams Facility. Plain. Palaputia. Whenever you planeswalk to 2 Streams Facility and at the beginning of the first upkeep of the game, each player chooses Green Anchor or Red Waterfall. Each player who last chose Green Anchor may play an additional land during each of their turns. Creatures controlled by players who last chose Red Waterfall get +2/+0 and have haste. Whenever chaos ensues, each player who last chose Green Anchor chooses Red Waterfall, and vice versa. Prime Minister's Cabinet Room. Plain Earth. At the beginning of combat on your turn, up to 1 target creature you control becomes a copy of target creature an opponent controls. Chaos. Will of the Council. Whenever chaos ensues, starting with you, each player votes for a creature you don't control. Exile each creature with the most votes, or tied for the most votes. New New York. Plain New Earth. It's like New Coke, but the whole planet. At the beginning of combat on your turn, until end of turn, non-creature artifacts you control become 3/3 vehicles in addition to their other types and gain flying, haste, and crew 1. Chaos. Whenever chaos ensues, create a treasure token and a 2/2 white alien creature token. Everything's a vehicle. Pompeii. Plain Earth. When you planeswalk to Pompeii and at the beginning of your upkeep, put an eruption counter on it. Whenever you roll a blank on the planar die, scry 2, then put an eruption counter on Pompeii. Chaos. Whenever chaos ensues, Pompeii deals damage to each creature and each player equal to the number of eruption counters on Pompeii. Each player sacrifices a land, then planeswalk. Nice. And the last one. Alright, we have the Doctor's Childhood Barn. Plain Gallifrey. Creatures enter the battlefield tapped. Chaos. Whenever chaos ensues, each opponent chooses up to 1 target non-land permanent that opponent controls. Untap those permanents, they phase out. They can't phase in for as long as the Doctor's Childhood Barn remains face up. Whenever a player planeswalks, those permanents phase in. Stormcage Containment Facility. Plain Unknown Planet. Each creature card in your graveyard has escape. The escape cost is equal to the card's mana cost, plus exile 3 other cards from your graveyard. You may cast cards from your graveyard for their escape cost. This basically gives all creatures you control, this basically acts like all creatures, or all creatures in your graveyard, like you have I can't think of the name of the card. Underworld Breach in play, but only for creatures. Chaos. Whenever chaos ensues, detain target creature and opponent controls. Until your next turn, that creature can't attack or block, and its activated abilities can't be activated. The Drum Mining Facility. Plane, Earth. Whenever you roll the planar die, creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain haste until end of turn. Chaos. Whenever chaos ensues, end the turn. Exile all spells and abilities from the stack. The player whose turn it is discards down to their maximum hand size. Damage wears off, and this turn and until end of turn effects end. Singing Towers of Darillium. Plane, Darillium. Each non-land card in your hand without Foretell has Foretell. Its Foretell cost is equal to its mana cost reduced by 2. During your turn, you may pay 2 and exile it from your hand face down. Cast it on a later turn for its Foretell cost. Chaos. Whenever chaos ensues, you may cast a Foretold card you own from exile without paying its mana cost this turn. Fixed Point in Time. Phenomena. Whenever you encounter Fixed Point in Time until your next turn, if a player would planeswalk as a result of rolling the planar die, chaos ensues instead. Then planeswalk away from this phenomenon. Besieged Viking Village. Plane, Earth. All creatures have Boast. 1. Put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Activate only if that creature attacked this turn and only once each turn. Chaos. Whenever chaos ensues, put an indestructible counter on target creature you control that attacked this turn. North Pole Research Base. Got Santa up there. Plane, Earth. At the beginning of your upkeep, target opponent draws a card and creates a treasure token. Chaos. Whenever chaos ensues, create a 2/2 white alien creature token. When you do, tap target non-token creature and opponent controls. Put a stun counter on it. If a permanent with a stun counter would become untapped, instead remove one from it instead. So remove a stun counter from it instead. Temple of Atropos. Plane, Time. At the beginning of your post-combat main phase, there is an additional beginning phase after this phase. The beginning phase includes the untap, upkeep, and draw steps. Chaos. Whenever chaos ensues, reverse the game's turn order, then planeswalk. For example, if play had proceeded clockwise around the table, it now goes counterclockwise. All right. Kablam! Warehouse. Plane, Kandoka. Whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, create a treasure token. Chaos. Whenever chaos ensues until your next turn, non-creature artifacts you control gain tap. Sacrifice this artifact. Flip a coin. If you win the flip, this artifact deals 3 damage to any target. Nice. Last but not least, the dining car. Plane, Spacecraft. When you planeswalk to the dining car, each player creates a food token. 66 seconds. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice a creature with the least toughness among creatures you control, then investigate. Chaos. Whenever chaos ensues, activated abilities of artifact tokens you control cost 2 less to activate this turn. So you can basically sacrifice clues for free. And food. I think junk tokens, which are going to be coming soon. But that's a whole new thing. All right. Well, thank you for joining me on this adventure, going on a Planechase. As always, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, all that good stuff to help with the algorithm. It really helps out the channel, and I really appreciate it. But until next time, stay awesome, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.